going to finish it. Hari Paramatma Allah Ahurmazd God Yazdan Hu Jai Meher Sahibe Jama Jai Jai Nirali Shan Hu Jai Bhakt Unke Mast Unke खींच लाते जो उन्हें भूलोक पर धूल उनकी सिर लगाऊं हिये लाऊं प्रेम के उनके सहारे मेहर को मैं पाए जाऊं निबल जान जो बाह छुड़ाओ ये कबीर दास की मिले फकीरी निस दिन अलख जगाऊं जतन जतन से ओढ़ चदरिया जस की तस धर जाऊं देह तजो तो काज तिहारे गति जटायु पाऊं शांति मई तू गोद मिले फिर धाम तिहारे जाऊं शबरी के मैं पैर खिलाऊं साग विदुर का लाऊं खाओ प्रभु जी उसी प्रेम से वारी तुम पर जाऊं तरी अहिल्या गणिका सदना तरे अजामिल भागी वाल्मीकि हूँ पार भय जिन मरा मरा रट लागी ऐसे ही भाग्य मिले मोहि बाबा एक यही वर चाहूं वन निषाद चरणोदक पाऊं युग युग हेतु जुड़ाऊं Jai Baba. Remaining 10 stanzas tomorrow. Thank you.
Yes, I would just like to add when Nigam sang this before Baba, he sang it 10 or 12 times before Baba. And the first time he sang it, Baba said, whatever you have asked in this prayer, I will give you. He has asked many blessings. And he says, whatever you have asked, you will get. I have bestowed on
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Yasmin. So,
is it just me or everybody's scared to ask for things from Baba? What do I know? On what I want. Isn't it scary to ask for things?
No, but he asked for love and devotion. He asked for love and devotion.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
eternal,
I'm saying
love and devotion.
Me asking him for things and other things. That's what I meant. Love and devotion I can give.
Told you wrote me a letter. The last 3 words I asked him. I said, what is that? What should I ask from Baba? Before you leave this world, what should I ask from Baba? Do you know what he told me? These 3 words. Ask for patience, strength, and direction. Patience, strength, and direction. And I do that every day as best as I can remember.
Yeah, beautiful. The Mandalay would say you can ask Baba for things, but don't expect. So you kind of let them know you need something, but you get it or you don't get it. But don't expect. That was one of their responses.
The only thing I want is love.
Yeah, that's a good. I think you're on the right track there, Orion.
Thank you.
Jeff, I remember Baba saying on Samadhi, he took all the Baba lovers to during the Savas to his so-called future Samadhi, and he said, after whoever goes to my Samadhi, remember 2 things.
Yeah.
Love me from the bottom of love me from the bottom of her. Love means love me from the bottom of your heart, not the external love. If you cannot love you, I'll be your beloved. You will be my beloved. And you sacrifice your own comforts for the sake of others.
Yeah.
Then whatever you ask, I will give from my samadhi. And there was an incident took place during the Amartiti when we were sitting with Iruch Mama. Someone asked Iruch, can we ask Baba? Then Iruch just stared at that man and said, why can't? You can ask. Whom to ask? You should ask. What you ask is, you can ask Baba. Don't ask material things. Ask is love and his grace. And he also said, once you ask, you accept it. If he doesn't accept it, don't ask. Jai Mer Baba.
Yeah. Good. Wonderful, Merchant.
Jai Mer Baba.
Any other of those recollections up on the hill there with Erich?
Because there are many things which we used to share, because I normally used to be in the from 78 to 2020, I was always staying at this hostel in charge as a volunteer. I hardly used to share with him because up to 78 I used to share. 70 to 78. Used to say many things about the Baba's after this thing. And normally, early days of the 1970s, everybody used to ask the last days of Baba's and all this. And somebody says, now that Baba dropped, some of the Baba lovers says, world purpose, when that Baba is not there, physical form, how to love Baba. One thing he always used to say, be nature. Once you think that Baba is not there in physical form, but Baba is always your guiding factor and he will be always there. And his blueprint is printed for 700 years till he comes for the next avatar 700 period. And he did everything meticulously to the 100% of his satisfaction. His work was completed. It is now, it is our duty to follow him by accepting, going, I think it's echoing, to accept it and follow him and to live the life as per the messages and direction by holding fast to his Dhamma. That was one instant I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
It's
Kelly?
Mahan Nori.
Kelly, you got anything over there on your in your bailiwick?
I don't know. We're getting an echo?
I think that was with Mayor Chan, but you're fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm down here in Virginia Beach, and I think it's interesting that Mayor Baba, of course, Virginia Beach is where Edgar Casey has his headquarters, and Mayor Baba was quite aware of Edgar Casey.
Yeah.
I've asked Nordine about this, and I think the women Mandali were particularly drawn to Edgar Casey.
Yeah.
And Baba had said that Casey was honest, and I think he used to indicate Casey as like stroking his beard, like he's an old man, which is interesting because people in Virginia Beach referred to Casey, or maybe referred to himself as the old man. So it was a validation of the connection there.
Yeah. Yeah, I know the women Mandali liked Edgar Casey very much, and someone found a reference. Well, I've mentioned it to you that he had said that the avatar, the Christ was on earth again, born in 1894 in India. Someone found that, but you have not been able to find it.
No, I haven't come across that yet.
Yeah. But you know that his son wanted to see Baba in the late 60s there.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was aware.
Yeah.
Yeah. He wanted to visit the Baba's ashram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did
Mirnaz, have you got any stories, Mirnaz, from your father or? Mirnaz is the daughter of one of the Prem Ashram boys.
Okay.
Actually, Jeff, I have been so much under the influence these 2 days in the new life, and I'm sure it's true for everyone that how much we can relate the new life to our life today, and all those things that Baba said and all those things that he and everyone around him went through, this is exactly happening to us now. And how it is assuring that we are heading in the right direction, right? This is what Baba was telling us all this time, and how lucky we are to actually see it. And sometimes, yes, I do think about, over the last 6-7 months, sometimes I thought about my dad, and I said that I wish he was with us so I could hear him assuring us even more that this is indeed new life. And so we are experiencing it. We just need to hold on to his Dhamman and really add on to our faith. That's it. That's what he wants. Obey him. Obedience. That's what the entire thing of new life, if you want to put it in one word, obedience.
Yeah. And to live in the active present.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And they were to live in the present and not be living in the past, not live off of the past, and their future was in Baba's hands. So they really had to live in the present, but not only just live in the present, they had to control their moods in the present.
Absolutely. And how much true it is right now.
Yeah.
That we need to keep up staying in the present moment, not worrying about the future. Everything is changing every moment, right? You turn on the TV and just stay there 5 minutes and listen and say, wow, just since yesterday, things have changed so much. And if I don't stay in this present moment, I lose it, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely.
And, I mean, what I always gather from the mandali, just the overwhelming thing is just to be loving in the present. You can't love in the past and you can't love in the future. This is our moment, to either be loving or trying to be loving. I mean, it's a simple command. And if we get involved enough in loving in the present, we'll forget about the future and the past.
Yes.
I mean, as far as being energetically in the past or energetically in the future. Yeah.
And I remember in Mera's book, at some point in New Life, Dr. Gohar, was the story that I can never forget, that how Mera and everybody, all the Mandali and, the women were asking Dr. Gohar, sing, sing, sing. And she was just so shy to say anything for Baba. Yeah. Until she finally agreed to read that famous song of patience, patience, patience. And here we go. We need to remind ourselves of that beautiful song, which I wish I could listen to the original one, because I think it was in it wasn't in English language. So yeah, it implies again to today situation, being patient.
Yeah. And Baba kind of teased her about that.
Jeff,
Yeah.
yesterday I'd been to Mananash Cave because we had a annual program of the Mananash during Baba's visit. Baba stayed, you know that Baba stayed for 8 days in the cave, 1610 to 2310, 1951. So after 6 months of the in with this pandemic situation, first time after in the 6 months I'd been to Mananash Cave yesterday to
Yeah.
just to remember Baba. So now totally the cave is safe. Cave we always feel Baba's presence every time when we go to the cave. And the cave, I think you should come and visit Baba's cave once. And there, as during 19, Baba liked that Hyderabad a lot for spiritual and also for the must programs. And Baba, um, for the Manunash program, he did a lot of meetings. And one of the meetings on 30th June 1951, Baba was walking in a garden called Public Gardens. He said, I like the Hyderabad a lot. Hyderabad got its own spirituality. And Baba sent for the Varanasi place with a lot of conditions. And I just briefly, 2 minutes, I'll just say. The condition should be, it should not be far away from the place, far away from, it should not be too far from the city and too near to the city. And it should be on a hill rock, and it should have spiritual importance, and it should be water should be, lake should be seen from the all these conditions. So for that, Eroch and Pendu searched for a long this thing before Baba arrived. Then they met one person called I forgot his name. They met Lingaya, and Lingaya took them, and he has shown that place, and they liked it, and they shown to the Baba. So then Baba, you know that Baba has ordered the replicas of all the religions, and told everyone to prepare for the Mananash cave, Mananash prayers and all that. And Baba first went to been to a place called on 15 evening. He came to the cave and went to the dargah is there. That is called Fakhruddin Baba Dargah. And Fakhruddin Baba's Dargah, Baba went and started his prayer. And Baba entered into the cave on 16/10/1951. And that then Baba on 20th, Baba went to a down. There is a temple called Vishnu Temple. Now it is called Ananta Padmanabha Temple. There Baba also prayed um, to the Ananta Lord Vishnu. And then on 23rd, he was Baba said 24th. Baba was very happy and said, I have completed my work to the 100% of Saturday. Baba was so happy. From there, he started going to this thing. And these are things. One of the incidences which terrified um, Hirochi is when Hirochi came along with all the replicas, or small replicas, what they called ever be about the church, synagogue, and temple and mosque. He brought it in a car, and that time there was fields. Now you can see a lot huge buildings now there, but that time there was field. When Hirochi, before starting, Baba instructed Hirochi, be careful with this, be careful, be careful. And Hirochi said, Baba always gives instructions like to be careful with. When he parked the car at the field, at the place, and he locked and he was about to go to the up the hill, suddenly he heard a sound, boom, and then he saw that the car was started and went into the fields. Then he rushed up that place. First thing is verified whether the replicas were intact. Then he was very happy that it was tore down and all that. And those replicas, Baba did universal work there. And then after completing everything, Baba, you know that on 31st of the January 1952, he digged a pit in the Merazat and he lit the Duni by asking Irish to read that from today onwards, all the religious thing were led to the fire. And he asked that the woody of that to be kept in the boxes, 2 boxes, and never to touch. Of course, these things are totally covered by other day when Noshirwan and Peter in the talks. But this instance we always remember were during Manonash anniversary. So I just want to share. I just share. Avatar Meher Baba ki jai.
Okay, yeah.
And one more, as per last things, is the new life will live by itself eternally, even if there is no one to live in it.
Yeah.
That's what Baba said. So
Hey,
lastly,
you know, here's something that I wrote down you might find interesting. Kind of, it was a question that came. The question was, my question is about dealing with feelings, especially negative ones, when we are not able to dissolve them by repeating Baba's name. And I wrote, Darwin Shaw, one of Baba's very early Western disciples, was a very deep soul full of profound insight, and yet he was very humble and unassuming. We, as young followers of Baba, found that we had to usually pry out of him his knowledge of the inner life. Many times we succeeded in getting him to talk on the subject of inner work on oneself. On several of those occasions, he shared the following insight about feelings. He used to say, the deeper the feeling, the deeper the healing. He stressed that when a feeling first flows into us, either provoked by something internal or by some outer event, we need to bring our awareness to it immediately while it is still fresh and give it to Baba with his name, and not wait until the feeling has flowed downstream where it mixes with the mind and all its distorted thoughts. For example, suppose someone has insulted us. Our initial response may be hurt, but almost instantly the mind gets a hold of the feeling and converts it into a reaction of, say, anger or resentment or pride. And because the mind is the creator of time, the reaction now is placed in the context of the past and the future. We go into a defensive mode. Already our awareness is pulled out of the present and is now one remove away from the initial feeling. Darwin's method was to stay intently aware of the initial feeling in the present and offer it to Baba, saying his name. That is, to focus on sharing the original feeling with him. By staying with the feeling in the present, it passes through our awareness much more quickly, especially when it is given to Baba, and we are able to process feelings as we go along and not have them build up in the mind. Baba once gave this example. Suppose someone slaps you on the cheek. The pain of that slap only lasts a few seconds, but when the mind enters the picture, taking offense and feeling insulted, it can extend the suffering for hours or days or even years. Our resentment is likely to continue on and on in memory long after the event. Anyway, that was, I don't know if you folks have had, understand that dynamic, but Darwin was very, it's so sensitive that you can catch feelings early on and give them over before they go downstream and the factories empty their pollutants in it. And by the time you get to them, they're very difficult to disentangle from thoughts and other counter reactions. So Ganesh, you got something on there?
No, I was just listening to what you said, and it's been like something after you shared this, I'd been practicing. So it's kind of getting into my system. These, like, whenever you feel something, in that moment, giving it to Baba. Or because otherwise it just goes deep in and then you think about it and all that. So it's like, in that moment, give it to Baba. So it usually, many a times I forget that, but I'm trying to remember and put it to practice so that it becomes more natural.
Yeah.
Kind of a habit. Yeah.
it just goes through your system faster. You can be fully aware of it, but it just goes through faster and doesn't get put into time and then go on and on in
Yes.
the mind. That was one of the valuable things, to be able to let things pass through a lot faster than rather than create an attitude about something. Hey, we got Heidi here. You're up kind of late, Heidi.
No, I'm always up this late, and I always want to come in, so
Yeah.
I have an opportunity tonight.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I go on the YouTube if I can't be here.
Yeah. Anybody have any questions or anything to share? Diane, do you have anything to share or anything that comes to mind? It's potluck here. Poetry or something?
I think she's got something.
Oh, good.
This is Terry.
Yeah.
Mayor Bubba's words, in the master, man sees his own ideal realized. The master is what his own deeper self would rather be. He sees in the master the reflection of the best in himself, which is yet to be. But when will we surely one day attain? Faith in the master therefore becomes the chief motive power for realizing the divinity which is latent in man.
Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. And rarely do you get to see somebody who's the embodiment of everything you want to, that you want to be. There was one woman, her name was Mercedes DaCosta. She was a screenwriter in Hollywood, and this is back in the 30s. And she was determined to commit suicide, and she'd even bought a revolver, and she practiced it. And on the day that she was determined to commit suicide, she got a phone call from Norina Machabelli. Now, Norina Machabelli, a friend of hers, was very persuasive. And on the day that she was going to commit suicide, she convinced Mercedes that you've got to meet this Meher Baba. You have to meet him. She didn't know that she had any idea of suicide. So she came to see Baba up on the second floor of this, I guess, a house. And when she went in to see Baba, it was like she went in and saw herself. Her first impression was, this is myself right there in front of me. And then Baba spelled out on this alphabet board, now I want you to go down to your car and bring me your revolver, which no one knew about. And she was shocked. She went down and got the revolver, gave it to Baba. Baba opened it up, took the cartridges out of it and gave the revolver back to her and said, never think of doing that again. But the thing that you reminded me of is that when she met Baba, she felt she was meeting herself. Actually, a fully aware self. Yeah. So, Mayor Prasad, anything that comes up? Or Priya? Remember last time? Anything you're thinking of there?
Couple of things, Chair Baba.
What's that?
I said a couple of things.
Yeah.
Saturday's talk with Nosh was quite an eye-opener.
Yeah.
And somehow I think the feeling of helplessness is sort of, traveled within. And it was hard to reconcile with how much Baba has done. And yet looking at where we are and what's happening. Anyway, I actually wanted to ask one particular question. it's more of a struggle. I could be caught in the technical words of it. I find myself remembering throughout the day, but I'm not sure I feel him here as often as I'd like to. And I remember the first time I'd heard of you or I'd met you was when you spoke about moving from here to here.
Yeah, from the
And I
head
was
down to the heart.
Yeah, and I was just wondering if you could just give me some handy tips on how to
Yeah,
remember him also, instead of, keeping him in the back of my head, to sort of feeling him, within.
at the heart level. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Erich really encouraged me to bring my awareness from up here down into the heart level and follow my feelings, not with my mind, but with my awareness, with my consciousness. In other words, a lot of people, they follow their feelings, but they're looking through the lens of the mind down at their feelings. But it's possible to unplug our awareness from being forced to look through the narrow lens of the mind and bring it down. For example, if you focus on the beautiful thing about the heart is that it interfaces with the body in the heart area. In other words, if you feel anxiety, you're not feeling anxiety up in your head, you're feeling it in your solar plexus, say. And all the feelings, fortunately, they interface with the body. And if you bring your awareness down and follow your feelings as they interface with your body, you are not up in your head. You've basically unplugged your awareness from the mind and you've brought it down to your heart level. And that is a step closer to being able to remember Baba with your heart and not just your head. Like I say, focus on your heart area. Can you feel, you can feel, follow that. That was what Erich encouraged me to do, is follow your feelings with your awareness, and that gets you established at the heart level. And from there, you can go deeper in, over time, you can go deeper in and actually feel Baba more and more in an abiding way. I don't know if that,
No,
I
it
don't,
helps.
you
Help me understand one more thing.
What's
In my
that?
heart, it helped me understand one more thing. In my heart, what I feel is a lot of grief.
Yeah.
Looking at what's happening around.
Yeah. And it, well, go ahead. And following that grief is a very valuable thing. Just to follow it and track it, observe it, without coming up with a bunch of thoughts about it. And that will keep your consciousness kind of more in an abiding way down at the heart level. There was one guy that went to see Baba. His name was Robert Dreyfus. He went and saw Baba in 1965, and he met Baba at Merazad. And when he came back after that trip, he came through New York, and the Monday night group grabbed him and asked him to give a talk on his meeting with Baba. And this was the Monday night group, and there were a lot of people, a lot of older people. He was 25. So they asked him, what was it like to meet Baba? He said, I went from here to here. And that was the end of his talk. They couldn't get anything else out of him. But this is a long distance from here to here to be able to stay abidingly at the heart level. it requires a great tolerance for hurt and like grief and pain, resentment, sorrow, all of that. But that's part of the price you pay for staying at the heart level. But there's also joy and love at the heart level. So it's so the mind, I think of the mind is like three-dimensional and the heart is multi-dimensional. You follow? So, and one of the things that Erich brought home to me is how you feel deep down. If you can follow your feelings deep down, that is how Baba feels when he lives in Priya. In other words, if you're feeling a deeply grief, Baba in you is feeling grief right along with you. So you know how it's a direct way of focusing on Baba. You follow it. It's not like you're just following your own grief. Baba is also shares your grief. So you know how he feels in the moment. You know how Baba is feeling when he is in you. I don't know if does this make any sense?
Makes a lot of sense.
I mean, it's a beautiful thing. I mean, if you feel so, however you feel, deep down is how Baba feels when he lives in you. It's not like he's over there some distance, in bliss. He's down there with you.
Yeah.
And so if you're feeling grief, you're actually feeling Baba, believe it or not. Or however you're feeling. If you're feeling bored, that's how Baba's feeling in you. So you're feeling him. Of course, it'd be nice to feel love for him, and then he gets to feel love with you, Anyway, I don't know if that, does that make...
It answered my question.
What's that?
It helped me and it really answered what I was asking.
Yeah, okay. Marinat, does that make any sense?
I think, Jeff.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's hard to embrace a whole range of feelings sometimes, because in life we try to block the negative ones, and then of course what happens is we block the positive ones too, the love. Yeah. If you allow all of it to be experienced and not be afraid of it,
yeah,
you have a way out. I just being trained in social work, it was all about feeling. And there was a famous social worker named Jessie Taft, and she wrote a classic article about this topic called Living and Feeling.
Mm-hmm.
You can even get it online. And I later learned that she was also a Christian metaphysician and studied all religions too.
Yeah.
They didn't mention that in social work, but all of us try to block uncomfortable feelings and get more positive. But when I look at Baba in film, I see all feelings. If you, in Baba, watch him on film, don't you see? He feels with everyone there, whatever they're feeling. You can see suffering, you can see his joy, love, his upset. Even I remember one film, I don't know who he was pointing to, but one of the Mandali was responsible for bringing people to him, and there was an older gentleman who couldn't walk, and I see Baba in the film go, "Hey, aren't you going to deal with this? Help him." They didn't notice him, and you could see Baba's emotions of so it is difficult, but I think it's necessary, and Baba helps us with it. He wants us to be natural, right?
Yeah, and to be there's not, I mean, people feel, I say I shouldn't feel jealousy. Well, there's nothing wrong with feeling jealousy as long as you don't act on it. Be aware of it. The more aware of it, the less you're going to be likely to act on it.
But you said something, you told the story about Erich saying to you, you can get angry, but don't be angry.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful framework for, I think it helped me a lot just to look at all feeling,
Yeah.
especially dealing with some difficult situations lately where all of my feelings were being stirred up and triggered at the same time. So
Yeah.
it was very helpful to not feel it and then breathe it through and then don't stay there in consciousness, you know.
Yeah, no, Priya, that's a very good question. And I mean, those are the very things we asked the Mandali that you asked. Marinaz, what do you think? Oh, can't hear you though.
Saying I'm so speechless, knowing
What's
that,
that?
how is that?
Yeah.
You hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, good. I'm saying that I'm so speechless, knowing that how true that is, you know, moving from head to heart and acknowledging the feelings. That's it. You know, as long as we acknowledge the feelings, no matter what feelings there are. But once we acknowledge it, that's it. We don't need to take any action doing anything, because that acknowledgement takes over everything. So when Eraj said that, feel angry, but don't be angry. Don't act upon it. That's it.
Yeah.
Don't keep it here. Just feel it right here, acknowledge it, and that's it. I thought that was so powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's very hard to hold some extreme feelings without acting upon them, or without them going up into the mind, and then the mind plots different things. How are you going to tell them off next time you see them or whatever? You know?
That's
I
why
mean, we may fail on these things, but the mechanics is that's helpful, is good to know.
Yeah, but I think practice, that's what practice makes it good. So we keep remembering it every day and practicing it. I think it's gonna get there.
Yeah. And the beautiful thing is, eventually consciousness moves deeper and deeper into the divine qualities of forgiveness, kindness, empathy. All of the divine qualities are at the heart of us, and eventually our consciousness will fall in love with the divine qualities and moves out of the lower emotions and everything.
Powerful.
I think of those divine qualities are like the foothills that lead to the glorious mountain of the soul.
Wow, beautiful said. Wow.
Jake has generally got some good grub. Oh, can't hear you though.
How about now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I was just saying hello, Jeff, and hello, everybody here.
Yeah.
I don't have much cooking today, but I will say one thing, which is kind of a continuation from what I talked about and wanting to know last week about being complete. Is I've been working with trying to be complete, like feeling complete in myself in various situations, you know, positive situations, negative situations. And I will say one thing I kind of have come to understand about what the sense of completeness really means for me is how, or one attribute of completeness for me that I experience is not wanting anything in that moment, not even not wanting, but not desiring anything else other than just being in that moment.
Yeah.
Literally complete in the sense of not desiring anything else. It was kind of a really beautiful feeling.
Yeah.
To have that sense of completeness, really nice.
Yeah, I mean, to be fully aware of misery, of your own misery, is a complete experience, as long as you don't want to go to some place to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Go on the path of the future. If you can accept the misery, accept the misery in the present fully. You have to suffer the misery, but you get that you get the compensating experience of that sense of completeness.
Hmm.
That's the if we can tolerate great suffering and not and stay with it, we're complete. I mean, that doesn't mean if you got a toothache, you don't go to the dentist.
Yeah, I will say that's the other layer of this that I find really challenging to conceptualize and to try to understand, is like how to be complete, but then yet at the same time take action to try to alleviate or change what you're experiencing, because it's, I mean, the right thing to do, or it's part of your responsibilities, but at the same time, they're not losing being in the moment and not desiring anything else. It totally blows my mind. It kind of makes me think about how Baba talks about, and this might not be true at all, but this kind of dilemma makes me think about how Baba talked about the spiritual path being so narrow and how easy it is to fall off one side or the other. It's like walking on a razor's edge. These concepts and these ideas, because they're so easy to lose balance.
Yeah.
And try to progress forward. And
I mean, the sense I got of Erich, if he had a toothache, he would accept the toothache completeness, but he'd still go to the dentist and he'd accept the relief from the completeness. I mean, the relief from the toothache.
Yeah.
In other words, just the fact that he goes to a dentist doesn't mean that he didn't accept the toothache.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? But that way you go from completeness to completeness to completeness, from wholeness to wholeness to wholeness. I don't know if I'm talking about something experiential. I mean, this isn't a theory or a.
Yeah, no, it's a hard thing I certainly understand what you mean by it being an experience. It is a hard thing to conceptualize. And I certainly don't experience it, the flowing of completeness from moment to moment. And, I get glimpses of it for a couple seconds and it's wonderful. And this next layer is something I'll have to gradually work on,
Yeah, no, it's Erich used to say that spiritual progress is very, 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 very gradual. 4 varies. No American would go for 4 varies. Maybe very gradual, but not 4 very.
Yeah. Yeah, there was something in the discourses, actually, this makes me think of this, that I was just reading about spiritual growth and whatnot. Do you mind if I if I read real quick?
Go ahead.
Let's see. When the time is ripe, the advancement of a person towards self-knowledge comes about as natural as a physical body of the child growing into a full-fledged form. The growth of the physical body is worked out by the operation of natural laws, whereas the progress of the aspirant towards self-knowledge is worked out by the operation of spiritual laws pertaining to transformation and emancipation of consciousness. The physical body of the child grows very gradually and almost imperceptibly. That's the very, 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 very. Yeah. And the same is true of the spiritual progress of the person who has once entered the path. The child does not know how its physical body grows. The aspirant also is in the same way, often oblivious of the law according to which he makes headway towards the destination of his spiritual progress. The aspirant, and I find this part very interesting, the aspirant is generally conscious only of the manner in which he has been responding to the diverse situations in life. So kind of like we make, we talk about, the certain actions or efforts we can do to draw closer to Baba, and draw closer to our real self. We are aware of those things, but we're not really aware of what's happening kind of behind the scenes, the inner
Yeah.
workings. But he is rarely conscious of the manner in which he makes progress towards self-knowledge. And then this is the part that wraps up here. But without consciously knowing it, the aspirant is gradually arriving at self-knowledge by traversing the inner path through his joys and sorrows, his happiness and suffering, his success and failures, his efforts and rest, and through his moments of clear perception and
Harmonized will.
perception and harmonized will. That's right, as well as through the moment of confusion and conflict. So anyway, so very gradual. Certainly understand, and then the progression. I really like this idea of, progression coming from, specifically for me, efforts and rest, because I so easily forget that progress comes from rest also. Like I always expect that I should be making, like in my attempts to make efforts, that there isn't much rest in those efforts. My mental images, there is no room for rest in those efforts.
Yeah.
And that's really, I think, a big source of my misery in life, is I don't allow for that rest.
Yeah. I used to be very much the same way, just plunging ahead.
Yeah.
With unbroken intensity. But yeah.
Yeah. And then it doesn't like we were just saying before about, being complete, and your example of, Erich going to the dentist, and being complete in having the toothache, but also being incomplete in accepting the relief from the toothache. It doesn't allow for me to accept the relief of rest.
Yeah.
in contrast to the efforts.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Quite something.
Now I think we got Mayor Prasad. We got his, we got him thinking about stuff over there now. Any comments over there? Mayor
No,
Prasad?
but I have a quote along similar lines like what
Good.
Jake was reading.
Yeah.
This goes, you eat food to maintain your body, and with the body, you do different acts. The food in the stomach turns into fluid from which blood is made. You know this, but you have no idea or experience as to how it happens. Similarly, those connected with me have gained spiritual advancement, but don't see it or have any idea about it. You who are with me here are completely unaware of the advancement, but it is definitely there. The closer a person is to a perfect master, the better it is for him, whether he is a member of the master's circle or not. This is from Lord Meher, Volume 2, page 715.
Yeah. I once asked Erich, I said, people would come and be overwhelmed by Baba and even pass out in his presence. How did Baba feel to you? I mean, what was how did it feel for you to be around Baba? And Erich said, he kind of said, well, you mean, did I feel his vibes? And I said, yeah. He said, well, I felt nothing. I mean, these other people are feeling bliss and overwhelmed. You felt nothing? He said, yeah. You mean Baba was just like an ordinary ordinary person? He said, yeah, to him. But I later learned that he indicated if he had started feeling a little bit of active love for Baba, he said he would have turned into a must. He would have been overwhelmed, and because he didn't feel that love and Baba's presence the way other people did, he was able to serve Baba through thick and thin. And he had
Wow,
a choice, huh?
That's such an important thought. I mean, it's such an important learning. Like, if he would have felt the same way like others would have felt, maybe he couldn't have served. So, I mean, that's just so much to the mind now. Like, it's just so much to comprehend there.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah. In fact, he even said he made he used his tremendous effort to be just normal around Baba. He said, otherwise I would have been on the ground in the dust, rolling in ecstasy. Somebody's there, yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, Eric said, I made these tremendous efforts to remain normal. Otherwise, I would have been on the ground in the dust, rolling in ecstasy. So you can't necessarily, there are all sorts of, what can I say? There are all sorts of adjustments that have to be made. Here we're going for the love, and some of them were, well, Baba did say this to Arnavas: I didn't ask you to feel me, I asked you to love me. And I'm just saying, like, you could be in a horrible mood and feeling very depressed, but if someone had an automobile accident outside your house, you would run out in a moment and try to get them to the hospital. So love was not dependent upon the mood. How you feel won't stop love. It's on a different track.
So it's like, I didn't ask you to feel me, but I wanted you to know. What was the Arnavas quote? I didn't ask you.
I didn't ask you to feel me. I asked you to love me.
Love me.
You can love Baba without feeling him. And
but isn't
we can love in
feeling
our,
a part?
What's that?
Isn't that feeling part of love when you feel for Baba? Like, I mean, I didn't ask you to feel me, so we are feeling him, right? So isn't that part of love?
Yeah, it's part of love, but it doesn't have to be all of love. You could not feel him and still be loving him. You could say, for example, you could be in a really bad mood right now, thinking about you got to go to work tomorrow and everything. Really bad mood, but you still love your mom, right?
Yes.
You can love your mom without feeling. That love is always there. However, toward your mom, however you happen to be feeling or whatever mood you're in. It's like that. I mean it, yeah. Now, I hope we kind of got Telly aggravated over there.
Well, getting back to Edgar Casey for just a minute.
Yeah.
He talked about this three-dimensional world as being kind of, you could say, ruled by time, space, and patience.
Uh-huh. Wow.
Yeah, that's always impressed me. Of course, as the patients being so critical in this process of awakening.
Yeah. Yeah, patience is one of the divine qualities.
Hmm.
Its opposite is, anger
Hmm.
or all impatient. The opposite of generosity is, greed.
Mhm.
The opposite of lust is purity. I mean, that's what Baba has said.
So here is a quote from Baba that says, feelings and emotions are only the creation of mind and energy. Love is the creation of the soul.
Yeah, great quote. Read that one again. This is very good.
Feelings and emotions are only the creation of mind and energy. Love is the creation of the soul. So,
It comes from the other dimension into this dimension. I mean, love can express itself through feelings. It can express itself through the mind. It can express itself through the body. But they're vehicles. They're not the source. They're not the origin of the love. Yeah.
so Baba says mind and energy. So what does this energy come from? Like, it's the mind is there, the creation of the mind through thoughts and everything. And he also mentions the word energy.
That's what activates the feeling.
Hmm.
If you're angry, it takes some energy to really pump it up. And yeah, no, it's all these things are oh, go ahead. BJ.
Yeah, well, yeah, just talking about love. Love has stages. Even a magnet south north pole, it is attraction. And then love is feelings. And after feelings, it goes towards intuition and intuitive love.
Yeah.
And then when it crosses the limit, the stages of love, the illumination, and the final stage is love becoming one with the beloved. So one has to go through all these stages of love.
Yeah.
And so we don't know where we are, but Baba did say to his lovers that he will take you from logic to intuition, transition. So I'm sure the Baba lovers, if we get connected to him, we will go to the intuition stage.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Good. Yeah. To get from the heart to the soul is I think what a lot of the Baba people are, how to get from the superficial heart to the deepest realm of the heart.
And yeah, anyway. And regarding mechanics of mind, I would like to say we are discussing, so mind has two aspects. So you have to be witnessing your own mind. In Hindu mythology, the meditation and all, they witness their own mind. They are watching their own mind, their activities of the mind.
Yeah.
So suppose if you get angry, so you have to immediately, you get carried away by anger.
Yeah.
But if you are witnessing your own mind, you are aware, and then you say, oh, I got anger. So the first thought should come in your mind, instead of getting angry, carried away by anger, you should try to get, oh, I'm getting angry.
Yeah.
And that way you can say, oh, Baba, I'm getting angry. So this way, when you are witnessing your own mind, it's a dual function. So you try to separate your mind, your false entity from your real entity. So
Good.
that's the exercise while we are eating. Oh, I'm making this. Oh, Jeff is making this. Vijay is making this. Vijay is going out. Even when you're driving, when you're going out, you should be always watchful to your mind, and it's a lot of fun. So that way, and you say, oh Baba, see what I'm thinking. Oh Baba. Arach used to say, once Baba sent him to the Nagpur or somewhere, he was alone. And in the absence of Baba, he said, you know, what kind of thoughts coming into my mind? I say, oh God, no, no, no. All thought. But in the presence of Baba, he used to totally concentrate on Baba. And he was serving him like a slave. And looking at the every needs of Baba. Oh, Baba wants this. Oh, suppose so who is peeping into his room, who is coming to him. He was looking like a Baba's, he was acting like a Baba's mind, limb, Baba's mouth. Aloba says, Arach is Baba's mouthpiece. So that was interesting. That was one aspect.
Yeah, it's just a vehicle of service.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, no. So Jake, you got school tomorrow, right?
I'm actually taking the day off tomorrow. I'm calling in sick.
Oh,
I'm not. This is not legitimately. I'm not feeling so well, so I'm gonna rest up tomorrow.
Oh, good.
Yes. This is not a late night with Jeff sickness. This is a
yeah. This is
legitimate.
this is you can call this insomnia.
That's right. That's right.
So Terry, do you have any thoughts over there, or Diane?
You say something.
I don't know, you know, I spend more than 8 hours a day at work on a fast moving train in my actions and my thinking. And when I sit and listen to people philosophize and taking like peeling off layers of an onion and really just taking the time to let things go in deep instead of having to do like this, which I'm so used to doing. I'm a little bit in awe.
Yeah, or just kind of soaking it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I'm quiet, I'm not a quiet person.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's I know we sat around and listened to a lot of this stuff from the Mandali, and just took it in. And then maybe years later, a lot of those things would have relevance in the present.
I turned to Terry after something you had said. I said, how did the Mandali know so much? I mean, it's one thing, Meher Baba, he was God. But how did it, like all these wise things that Arach or Bauji said, or Mara or Mani, and Terry said they were with Baba 24/7.
Yeah.
And they let it in.
Yeah. Yeah, they not only they heard a lot of things, their intuition, their empathy, really their empathy was unimpaired, so that they kind of knew what to say. You know, their intuition and empathy kind of worked together, and they would, some of their just casual remarks could be life-changing. They might not even known the effect of it. Yeah.
You know, there are times in my life where I have like a split second to come up with an answer, or, or to, talk back to someone or with someone. And in that second, I ask Baba to give me the words, and I swear it's his words, because I would never have thought of it. So
yeah,
it's amazing when it works. And it's, and for me, when it's not working, when I don't feel connected, I look for things to connect me. And this has been such a gift to be able to sit here with people who basically love the same stuff that I love, maybe differently, but it's all the same. And I don't know, I was sitting here thinking how I've been looking at these faces, and I feel love for them, you know, like almost like a blissful joy. And it makes me cry. It's just an amazing experience.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
feel
I
really
think
full and grateful.
we've been knocking around, I would say, for centuries. This isn't our first this isn't the first time we've been with each other. But you know, I'll tell you something that you said there is that when after the new life, Baba came, you know, to America. This is 52, and Baba wanted Erich to go, but Erich was fainting. He was so exhausted from the new life that he felt he would be a drag on Baba. So anyway, Baba sent him on a tour of India to talk about him and Pindu. So they went from from city to village and everything. It was more grueling than if he had gone actually to America. But Erich said, Baba, I've never spoken about you. What am I going to say? And Baba said, before you speak, say, Baba, you speak. Just what you said. And he continued that right up to the end. If someone asks him a question, inside he says, Baba, you speak. And the inspiring things that came through him, and like I say, what your own experience, that's the same thing that Baba told Erich. Baba, you speak. And a lot of people do that. A lot of the Baba lovers do that, and they wind up saying things that wouldn't have occurred to them.
My mind thinks I'm brilliant for a second, and then I remember that I asked for Baba's words.
Yeah, beautiful. No, it's you stumbled upon that on your own, you might say.
Thank you.
Yeah, good.
Not only speaking, but when you're writing also, Baba said that, right? So here there is one quote from Lord Meher.
Yeah.
Remember me before starting and after finishing any work. Think of me before doing anything. If you have to write something, such as an exam paper, remember me before starting and then mentally say, Baba, it is you, not I, who is writing.
Yeah, good. I like the way these guys can just access these quotes just like that. You know, I don't have to read anything anymore. I just if the mountain, what is it? If Muhammad does come to the mountain comes to Muhammad, or whatever that phrase is. Priya, you got any further question about that? Bringing the awareness down in the heart area?
No, not there, but the next step. Sometimes you find nothing in there. I don't know how to become okay with the nothingness of it. I don't know how to embrace and integrate Baba's nothingness.
Now, what is the nothingness in your head? Nothingness probably is more in your head than, and there's always something going on in your feeling level. Even if it's boredom, just to give you how crazy I am, I once followed anxiety in myself for 4 months, in and behind my work. It's complete in itself. You think, oh, well, what the heck would you do that for? But I was staying at the level of the heart. And I didn't learn anything about anxiety except it became my friend. I learned to live with it. So if you go up in your mind, it can be a void. But at the heart level, there's always something happening there. So that you're never in a state of nothing. I don't know, does that make sense? If you can keep your attention down at the heart level, there's always something worth following there. up in the head, you know,
A lovely distinction.
you can feel very discouraged about life. It's up here is like meaningless.
Yes. Some days, yes.
Anyway, I mean, these are just. I mean, you don't feel you have to do any of this stuff. This is just stuff I kind of gathered.
So I just have one
Do
question.
you know
Like,
much about? Sorry.
Oh, what?
Please go ahead.
No, please you go ahead. I can catch it. I can ask later. Fine.
Yeah. Who was the other one who spoke?
Yeah, this is me. Nice. So I can ask later. So let Priya go ahead.
No, say that again. I missed that.
Oh, yeah, Priya wanted to say. So let us say
Yeah,
first.
go ahead, Priya. Yeah.
I was wondering if you'd heard about Baba going through depression at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, is there something interesting to share in that?
You mean that Baba was, there was a time when Baba was very depressed.
Right.
They tried everything to get him out of the depression. I can't remember how long it lasted, but they tried to, you know, try this thing or that thing, go for a ride, go for take some time off somewhere on a holiday. And Baba just sat there at Marazad, completely depressed. I think they even tried antidepressives on him. Didn't do any good. But I do feel Baba does things like this because there are so many people that are depressed, and he takes that on himself and deals it with love rather than with, you know, with the mind or with fear. But Baba, you know, they tried everything. They tried massage, and nothing. He just sat there, kind of unmoved. Yeah, Baba said about his body, my body is like gossamer. My body is like fine gossamer through which the winds of the world freely pass. So if the collective is depressed, it all has to go through Baba. It all goes through him. He doesn't have any protection. You know, no walls. Yeah.
Baba, I will quote you one small. Baba says, you see the movie. So I am the director of the movie. In the movie, when you watch, you even feel unhappy, cry, you get carried away in the movie. But then at the end, the final result is happiness. And so it's like a game, and I am director of the movie. So the end is going to be happy ending. So
Yeah.
that's the way we should take it's all movie, and he's the director, and just trust him. And just I am going to quote a very little, that very nice story by Mehra. During early days, Baba used to sing a beautiful voice, and the house was near a railway track, that post office box where Baba, Mehra Mai, Naja, Masaji, they used to stay. So Baba used to wake up early morning at 4 o'clock, and then going up the hill in the forest, used to release bowel, and while coming back, he used to sing a ghazal, Baba. And Mehra Mai, she used to peep through the window. Baba's hairs are flowing, and Baba very happy singing the ghazal. Mehra is observing him. And then Baba comes. Baba knew Mehra is watching him. And Baba asked her, do you understand the meaning of this ghazal? And Maharaj says, yeah, yes, Baba, very little. Then Baba said, when you're happy, you are in the best mood, like if you are going to eat a very good dinner, or you are in the happiest mood, and then you remember God. So that is a real love for God. So in our best moments in life or daily life, whenever the happiest moment comes, if we remember Him, then we are loving God. So that's a
Yeah.
one example. Yeah.
Yeah, there's actually a line where Baba says, "He who remembers God in his hour of happiness remembers God best."
Yeah.
That's a line from Baba. He who remembers God in his hour of happiness remembers God best.
Why is that? I always found that
well,
kind of, you know.
Well, it might
because
be
it's more natural. It's more natural when you're feeling sad and everything to remember God. When you're in your difficulty, it's most natural to go for Him for help. But the moment you have everything, and in that moment you still remember God, I think that's profound.
Yeah, I mean, we tend to just claim the happiness for ourselves and forget where it comes from. You can get fooled by it.
Right.
You know, it's like, oh yeah, I got this, Baba. I'll take the happiness. You come back later.
Yes. Yes. Even, I mean, I can internalize that as like, I'd be willing to share my misery with Baba, but if I'm not thinking about Baba when I'm also happy, then it's kind of like I'm not willing to share my happiness with Baba either.
Yeah, there isn't quite the same sting or the same hurt to drive you to share it with Baba.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Right.
But it's a good thing, because if you give your happiness to Baba, you don't have to have as much suffering.
Right.
You know, if you ignore the happiness, as far as you don't give it to Baba, then he's got to get your attention the other way.
Oh, right.
Kabir has said same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great focus to help yourself
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
Think about Baba when you're
When
happy.
things are going good, just be grateful. I mean, that's why grateful covers a lot of things. If you're happy, be grateful. You're just remembering Him. And a lot of the Baba people are, make gratefulness a real practice.
Wow.
Thank you, Baba.
Yeah.
I just tell you the incident just before Corona, that this our Wimpy group, we were going for the picnic, and I was sitting in a car, and then ladies were talking, and so I just quoted some Baba quote. I remembered Baba, and this lady says, "Oh, keep your Baba one side," and I was shocked. And then after going some distance, the car broke. And then I say, well, you said like that. And she felt very guilty then later. And oh, I am sorry, Baba. She prayed. And then suddenly some car stopped, another car from another direction. Some 4 or 5 youngsters, they got, and then they pushed the car and they helped us to take that car from the ditch out. So that was a very, very burning experience for that lady.
Yeah.
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 Sometimes we all learn the hard way.
Yeah.
Well, we're getting close to 12 o'clock, but Elizabeth, you had something to say there? Elizabeth Weiss there? I don't know if we can get her out of her cage there. Oh. Oh, well, save it for next time, Elizabeth. Kelly,
Yes, and just one thing, Jeff, while you were saying about the feelings and the awareness more than the mind and everything, but when you're at work and everything, you're really at you supposing you're getting into a board meeting or something like a meeting, you have an important meeting to get. You're actually, the entire awareness is at the mind level where you're completely in your thoughts, like what do I say, what is it that I, so it happens like, and at that times you need to work from the mind level. Means it's not everything that I can go into the heart level and work out from there with feelings. So that's what I was just.
But see, love can express itself through the mind. In other words, the sincerity with which you do your job and the conscientiousness with which you do your job is coming from the heart. But you're not called upon to be aware of your heart. You're called upon to deal with the mental the mental side of the job. You know what I mean? But if you weren't if you didn't like the job, then you are feeling you're feeling you got two things going. There's the job, and then the how lousy you're feeling about the job. So you're definitely in part in your heart and part up in your head. There's a great quote in the discourses. You guys can probably find it, but where Baba says, the sure sign of a hidden conflict is when the whole of you is not in the action that happens to be dominant at the moment. The sure sign of a hidden conflict. I bet Mayor Prasad, you can find that in the discourses. The sure sign of a hidden conflict is when the whole of oneself is not in the action that happens to be dominant at the moment.
That is beautiful. Oh my goodness.
So you have to kind of try to be wholehearted. To resolve that, you have to be wholehearted. Go ahead, Diane.
I know you said it twice. Do you mind saying it a third time?
Yeah, this is Baba. Now this may not be the exact quote, but the sure sign of a hidden conflict is that the whole of oneself is not in the action that happens to be dominant at the moment.
Yeah, that's right. I just found it.
He's got it.
I can read it.
See, these guys can find these things.
So, okay, there's a sentence before that. So let me also read that. Maybe that also makes sense. The process of bringing conflict to the surface of consciousness should not degenerate into a process of imagining conflict where there is none. The sure sign of real hidden conflict is the sense that the whole of one's heart is not in the thought or action that happens to be dominant at the moment. So this is the sure sign of a real hidden conflict is the sense that the whole of one's heart is not in the thought or action that happens to be dominant at the moment.
Yeah, that's when you're asked to go to a party from well, there are a lot of things you wind up having to go to, and it's just not your thing. To go shopping with somebody, and there's nothing there that you want to get. So you have to do some internal work so that you can be wholehearted about something that's going on there. Otherwise, as a kid, you might have to go visit an aunt who whose company you don't enjoy at all, or who finds fault with you all the time. So you're there with your aunt, and one part of you is wants to get out. He wants the thing to be over with. So there's a big split there. Darwin once gave this definition of mixed emotions. Watching your mother-in-law back off a cliff in your new Lexus. Watching your mother-in-law back off a cliff in your new Lexus. Try to be wholehearted about that.
Oh my God.
Hey, well, I think it's getting to that time unless anybody had, I mean, Jake is, he's got insomnia, so he's going to be up a while longer, but
I'm going to contemplate the Lexus and mother-in-law story. Yeah.
Anything?
Hey, Jeff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was wondering about this whole with Erich and service, and there's a difference between being on automatic and being more on a soul level. And I never met Erich, but I always feel when you talk about him or I hear stories about him that he was just so there for Baba in the present.
Yeah.
That he was already mind and heart integrated because he was doing Baba. He was in the immediate present, if you will, with
yeah.
Baba. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, he had such a love of people that he didn't have to say, well, what should I do here or there? I mean, his empathy, his intuition was, and his enjoyment of you was so natural that he didn't have to think about all this stuff that had gotten worked out. Yeah. I mean, although he could be very truthful, he'd say, he would sit in Mandalay Hall and share all these stories and everything. Sometimes he'd have to say the same story hundreds and hundreds of times. And he used to say, this is the oppression of love. He would say, if I had my choice, I would be in my room just thinking of Baba in the silence. But I know Baba wants me to be here with you sharing all these stories, so I'm here. So ask me for any story or ask any question. So he was pretty upfront. But then given that he would rather be back in his cabin, he got into telling us the stories and sharing things. He worked it out, so he was wholehearted about it, given that he was stuck with us. The 20 or 30 of us there, he rose to the occasion. That's what Baba wanted. Otherwise, we wouldn't even, we probably wouldn't be here with all together if he hadn't done this.
Yes.
Thank
you.
Jeff, one comment on what Ganesh was saying, because that I experienced that too. During the day, your mind you have to focus your mind so much on the work.
Yeah.
And you feel that you're 100% there, but what happens by the end of the day, and this is the challenge, is your consciousness is so centered on the mind that it takes a while, and it takes a lot of effort to bring it back into the heart level, because throughout the day you're so focused on the mind and exercising your mind that it's definitely work and challenge to bring it at the heart level. What I found really helpful during that time is listening to music, going for a walk, or reading Effort and Grace. Those things really help. But that's definitely a challenge.
Yeah. I mean, if what I would do, you know, sometimes if I had a very demanding job, I'd go to the bathroom and you know, and during the course of the day, you're allowed to go to the bathroom, and I'd use that chance just to center in Baba and unplug for that from a while, you know, and then go back on the floor, so to speak. But you know, even if you worked physically, at the end of the day, your body would be exhausted, and you have to do the same thing. You know, you have to try to get back in your heart, and yeah. And the moment, you know, the moment you're done with work, if you can just put it at Baba's feet, you know, find the nearest bathroom, put it all of that day at Baba's feet, because otherwise it'll just keep churning, you know, it'll take a while for you to come out of it and get back into your heart, you know. That's what I've had to do. Until I started working at the center where you don't have to use your mind at all.
Best place to work.
Yes. You do have to concentrate. Yeah. So anyway, I think it's past some of our bedtimes. You in California, it's about 9:30, right? 9:12.
9:13. Yes.
It is past our bedtime.
Oh, it is. Okay, good. It's 12:15 here. Anyway,
Past.
I'll be around this coming Tuesday, day after tomorrow. If you got any questions or have any great quotes or poetry or anything, don't hesitate to bring it. You know?
Okay. Thank you, Jai Baba.
Jai Baba.
Jai
Yeah.
Baba.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jai Baba.
Baba ki jai.
Yeah.
Jai.
Priya.
Baba Jeff.
Yeah. See you, Marichan, Nasreen.
Yes, Jai Baba, Jai Baba.
Jai Baba. Hi.